Let me talk a bit about Boba Fett, namely the version we met on Disney Plus. Despite having limited appearances in the original trilogy era, Boba Fett quickly became a fan favorite character. Voiced by Don Franks in animated form in the Star Wars Holiday Special, he next appeared as a member of Darth Vader's bounty hunting group in The Empire Strikes Back. Here he was physically portrayed by Jeremy Bulloch and voiced by Jason Wingreen. This duo would reprise the role in Return of the Jedi. The voice was replaced in later releases by Temuera Morrison, for reasons I will explain later. It was in Return of the Jedi where Boba Fett seemingly met his end, falling into a sarlacc pit and swallowed by the beast. Since the creature's digestive system was explained as slowly dissolving its prey over the course of several thousand years, fans held out hope that Boba Fett would somehow escape and reappear somewhere down the line. Well, fans got their wish, for better or for worse, in the form of the Book of Boba Fett, the second live-action Star Wars series to debut on Disney+. Technically, the bounty hunter returned in The Mandalorian Season 2, but we got to see his escape from the Sarlacc once his own series kicked off. Let's go back in time and look at the origin of Boba Fett. In Attack of the Clones, we learned that a Mandalorian bounty hunter named Jango Fett was used as a genetic template for the clones in the Republican clone army. Jango was played by Temuera Morrison, so all of the clones were portrayed by Morrison as well. The clones were modified to age more quickly, so they would be battle-ready sooner, and to be more compliant to orders. As part of his payment, however, Jango was given an unmodified clone, which he adopted as a son. This clone was named Boba. I take unmodified to mean that Boba Fett ages normally and has no special restrictions on his free will. This factor is important. Described as a preteen, we know that Boba was born in 32 BBY, before Battle of Yavin, and Attack of the Clones apparently took place in 22 BBY, so we can place Boba's age at 10 when we first meet him. The next film, Revenge of the Sith, takes place in 19 BBY, 3 years later. This is when Luke and Leia are born, so Boba would be 13. The next film is A New Hope, which, according to canon, takes place 19 years after the events in Revenge of the Sith. So Boba would now be 32 years old. The Empire Strikes Back comes next and takes place 3 years later. When we first meet Boba Fett in this film, he would be 35, and Return of the Jedi takes place 1 year later, so at most Boba Fett should be 36 years old. So a 36-year-old Boba Fett goes into the Sarlacc pit. In the Book of Boba Fett, we see his escape from the Sarlacc pit, and it is almost immediate, so that means he comes out of the Sarlacc pit at 36 years old as well. Now, according to canon, the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian and the lone season of the Book of Boba Fett take place in 9 ABY, which means after Battle of Yavin. A New Hope established the 0 year ABY after Battle of Yavin, so BBY means before Battle of Yavin, so 9 ABY means about 5 years after Return of the Jedi. If Boba Fett was 36 when he escaped from the Sarlacc pit, he would be 41 during the events of these series. The Boba Fett we meet on Disney Plus is played by Temuera Morrison. Temuera was born in 1961. The Book of Boba Fett came out in 2021. He was already 60. That is 20 years too old for the role. I'm sorry, no offense to the actor, but it was bad casting. For a brief cameo in The Mandalorian Season 2, it might have been okay, having him come back to play Boba Fett, since we saw him as Jango Fett and his face was used for all of the clones. But for a whole season of his own show, no. He should look the way he did in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And while we never see him without his helmet, we understand his body type. 5 years on Tatooine, living in the desert, wouldn't put 20 years of mileage on you. The actor who played the child version of Boba Fett, Daniel Logan, is 37 now. He still works in show business to some extent, so it might have been a cooler nod to canon and a nice bit of fan service to cast him in the role. It would have been age appropriate at the very least. Another option would have been to go for an entirely new actor, someone around 40 with a slender athletic build who would have been more believable as Boba Fett, both in The Mandalorian Season 2 and in the Book of Boba Fett. Again, nothing against Temuera Morrison, but 60 is not 40. Find a nice New Zealand actor with Maori heritage and give an unknown a shot at stardom. This is the deal breaker for me, the casting. Nothing works with Temuera, in my opinion. After that, after changing the casting, the whole plot has to be rewritten, so Boba Fett has something more interesting to do, somehow finding his way in a galaxy where the Empire has fallen, and the New Republic is trying to establish itself, something where he is not just a bounty hunter, because that steps on the toes of the Mandalorian. I'm sure some kind of plot could be thought up by talented writers, something to make us interested in Boba Fett as his own character. Maybe he is tasked to help mop up Imperial remnants. Maybe he makes amends with Han, Luke, and Leia along the way. Maybe I will make a video of my own Book of Boba Fett rewrite. But the first thing to do is cast a better Boba. Someone who fits into that armor better than a nice actor who is unfortunately 60 years old when the character is supposed to be 40. If you agree, disagree, have any fan casting you favor, please leave a comment. I would love to read it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.